Let's go ahead and kind of do a roll call. Let's first do a roll call of whoever we have here in person. Again, my name is George Redmond. I am the JCPC chair. I'll move to the left in which to please introduce yourself and tell us how you got here.
Andy Babowski, community member.
Don Johnson, religious community member, chaplain at the jail.
Greg Loveland, Asheville Police Department.
Dr. Noriel Armstrong, Chief Equity and Human Rights Officer here for Buncombe County.
We're jumping back. Blake McCoy, DA's office. Elizabeth Craft, community member.
Scott Dennis, Defense Council representative.
Angie Garner, Via Health. Lorraine Williams, area consultant with CJJ.
We've got some people getting situated over there. How y'all doing?
All right, how are you? Good morning, everyone.
Good, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's go ahead and see who is online. I can see Hannah, that's for sure.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry not to be there in person. I'll pass it to Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy Bricker, Area Director of Claire Vita, formerly Family Preservation Services and Access Family Services, and I'm the mental health rep. See Robin.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, Robin, and I am with Aspire Youth and Family, and I will throw it off to Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon, a community member.
Brandon, who you can pass it to?
Let me look and see who's on. Ty?
I'll just go. My name's Ty. I'm the program director at Pivot Point. And I'll throw it to Nicole.
Nicole is a prospective JCPC member, and she is she's trying to log in and work. Oh, there she is. Great.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My video isn't working, but hi, I'm Nicole Stallings, and I work for the elections department here. I'm also a peer support specialist through Via Health, and something I really believe in, and I appreciate y'all letting me sit in. And
thank you.
Yeah, Hannah, you MC.
Let's see. I think we have Natasha is connecting to audio, so I'm not sure if she's ready to speak. And we have an iPhone member. I'm not sure if that is Judge Dawson Smith or somebody else who's calling in.
We have Judge Dawson Smith here with us.
I have arrived.
She could be in both places, but I think she's the best person.
Eric Robson asked for housing authority. I'm the iPhone.
Oh, great. Hi, Eric.
Thank you, Eric, for identifying yourself as the iPhone. Here's a fuck. Hey, is that all you can see that's on there?
Natasha Adwaters, I'm not sure if you're able to unmute and say hello.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Natasha. All right. And I also think we had, again, Judge Dawson Smith is also here. Good
Thank
morning.
you. My apologies. I had a worker at my house, so did what we could to get it done and get over here.
Thank you.
I believe that Hidayah Ross is joining.
Donna Ross is here.
Not Diana Ross. Probably y'all were waiting for concerts. Sylvia is also here present. We also have, looks like Lindsay, is that right?
Good morning.
Morning, Lindsay. Karen, Team Port is also present, and I believe we have Emoja and Nete, is that correct?
That's correct.
Armadura Brown, Acuérdate.
Richard Caro, Umoja.
I'm Luisa Rodriguez with Guanete.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for being here. We had a slew of people that weren't going to be able to be here. I believe, if I'm looking at my text, that McGirt was on vacation. Angel has an emergency this morning. Rebecca Smith won't be able to come as well. Fanta can't make it as well. I think we have enough for a quorum.
I believe we do. Yes.
All right. So again, good morning. As we start today's agenda, we will go into a review and the action of June 20th board minutes. If you've had a chance to review those, if not, you can kind of review those now. I believe Anna sent those out for y'all to review and approve. If you were in attendance on June 20th, or if you saw any sort of revisions or edits that were needed, please speak now. Otherwise, take time to review. Once you review, let's see if we can get a motion in a second.
Well, I move to approve.
All right. So Angie with the motion, we've got second from Loveland. Are there any other further edits or any sort of comments that need to be made? No objections? We'll go ahead and approve that motion and that second for the minutes. As we move on down to the agenda, the next thing is the JCPC membership. I believe Hannah had kind of talked about before that Nicole, one of our prospective members, is joining us. Again, thank you, Nicole. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Lorraine or Hannah, as we look to fill certain positions, one of them was DSS designee, is that correct? Yeah, Rebecca, is that Rebecca Smith?
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Yes, the DSS director or designee, Rebecca Smith, is going to be stepping into that role. She is unable to attend today, but and she's planning to submit an application, which of course I'll send out to you all for review. And then we have a vacancy for a substance use professional role, and Nicole, as a peer support specialist, is interested in potentially being considered for that role. And I think we can see if she has a couple minutes to just introduce herself about why she's interested in this role. If Nicole, are you able to speak now?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you for that. I have been a peer support specialist for going on 5 years. I keep my certifications. I also work with people who are trying to improve their lifestyles, and it goes, and it's very broad across the board with many different issues, from eating disorders to home life, healthy home life, domestic abuse issues, to your drug counseling, rehab, and all the centers that I kind of work with to make sure people know what the resources. And a lot of this is based on resource management and helping people to just kind of know where to go, and then being there for them when they hit a crossroads and getting them to the next level. And some cases are hard, some cases are easy, but there's so many resources here in town, and a lot of people willing to help whether it be churches or non-churches. It just depends on what works for them. And that is a recipe that I kind of put up to them to figure out, because they're more likely to stick to it when they are the ones deciding, their path. So, but right now, I also work for Buncombe County Election Services, which is great. And I rather enjoy being here. It's a good group of people. And, I'm always willing to answer any questions if anyone has any for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Any questions? Again, she is perhaps a nominee for the substance use position that we have here on our board. Nicole, what brought you to Buncombe County? Is it just work?
Yeah, I'm actually an environmental, I do environmental work. That's my degree. I came here to study biochar, and I came from Charlotte, like a lot of people, in 2019. And I found my way into the agricultural movement. And then during COVID, the beginning of 2020, I decided to get my official peer support specialist license. And I was here in Black Mountain. And so that's where I stayed. So it's been a wonderful adventure, but I much rather enjoy being here. I was in Charlotte for 26 years.
Sounds like you creeped in right before COVID. So
I did, and I got happily stuck here. Very.
Well, the mountains welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members as to Nicole and her experience? I mean, I think all of us know how big substance abuse is here for juveniles. So having someone on board, peer support as well, all of that the kids are dealing with is extremely important to be able to give feedback and some sort of advice and counsel as to how we can best benefit the kids and utilize the resources we have here within our county. Lorraine, is that something that we need to digest and put up at the next board meeting, or is this something that potentially we can vote on today?
That's something I think y'all can vote on.
Okay. The application has been in. I think Hannah sent that out. Has anyone had a chance to review her application as to why she chose to be a board member and all of her qualifications?
Yes.
All right. Well, I see no reason to wait. School's starting here soon, and with school, I'm assuming vaping and all that sort of stuff will be coming into play. So let's not hold off on being able to use Nicole's expertise. So I guess we can get a motion in a second, then perhaps we can move forward with getting Nicole on our board.
So I move to approve Nicole for the substance use position on the board.
Second. All right.
And I noted abstention just because of her job with Board of Elections and being a public official. So nothing personal, Nicole. I'm glad you're here, but just need to do that.
Thank you for that, Judge Joshua Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. All right. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. This will be wonderful to be with y'all and work on this, making people healthy and get them where they need to be.
Excellent. Can't wait to see you in person.
Yes.
Hopefully the next one.
Thank you.
Hannah, I know that we also have, so the DSS designee, I know Rebecca's not here. Is that something that we can go ahead and move forward with, or is that something we need to wait?
I think we need her application to be officially submitted.
Okay.
Lorraine, actually, Lorraine, I welcome your guidance. If as a designee spot, if you have any other thoughts, if you think we need to wait for her application to be submitted, or if there's another process.
In the past, you all have voted as just as a, as a formality to accept the designee. I know she has to do the application. You all can either vote on it today with the intention, but you would have to put in the motion that pending her application. You're gonna make that motion today. You just need to say pending her application and acceptance by. Or you could wait till October when she.
I think we might think about waiting so she can be here and the application
Yeah.
here. And then
I'd
I
hate to
feel like it's a vote.
retract.
Speaking
Yeah.
as a designee, I think,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a nice vote of support for approval. But yeah.
We're looking forward to you coming in October.
Yeah.
Is that the motion?
I agree, I think.
Yeah, just wait.
I wanna put the cart before the horse, and let's kind of just wait for her to come in October, so we're not having to backtrack for whatever reason, if she can't fulfill that role. I know that there's also Asheville Cities, Parks and Rec. I think I got headwind from perhaps McGirt and Angel switching roles. I think that may have to wait until October since both of them aren't here as well. So I'll wait for that confirmation, unless Hannah, you
Yeah.
feel otherwise.
I'll check with our clerk of the Board of Commissioners to see if that's something that needs a formal JCPC vote, since Angel is already approved as a member. The Detail McGirt has served his 2 years of his first term and has been interested in identifying another person to serve as the designee. And it seems like it might work for Angel to move into that role as a official Parks and Rec employee, and that would open up a community member spot, which is where Angel's position is currently. So I'll follow up with Stacy Woody with the Board of Commissioners to see if that's something that needs a full JCPC vote or if it's something that can just be approved by the Board of Commissioners. And I think most of y'all probably are familiar with Rebecca Smith, but she is, you know, she's essentially in the DSS director role because our Health and Human Services is a combined department between what is traditionally DSS and HHS, or Health Services and Public Health. It's something that I think, given consultation with the HHS director, she is the designee / essentially the DSS director. So, oh, what's her title switching to?
Get social work director.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm curious, how are we advertising open positions or vacancies?
So we have typically they're of course posted online with if you go to Buncombe County Board of Commissioners councils and commissions, normally there's often been word of mouth from council members and putting it out there at different meetings when we attend. I can share the link for the application with all of you. In the past year and a half, the Buncombe County's communications and public engagement team was doing some pretty extensive outreach for folks to join the boards. We have not had a lot of vacancies. We did end up having about 4 or 5 applications come in after those public engagement outreach sessions, and we had a limited number of spots. So I think that's something that if another communities member spot opens up with Angel moving roles, then I don't know if that's something that the board would want to review applications that came in the previous year or if that's something that we just reopen fresh and yeah.
Okay.
And is that something we can just shoot them an email in case they're still interested rather than, and also opening it up as well?
Yeah, we could do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
To find out if they would still like their application, if they'd like their application to be reconsidered.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we do have a position for a young person under the age of 21. That's a vacancy right now. And again, a community member spot would also be another spot that someone under the age of 21 could join. I know that there's been different folks from the council who have thought of young people who they work with or who they know of who might be interested. I do think that it's kind of best practice for boards and commissions for if there's going to be a young person joining an adult space for there to be at least ideally more than one at a time so that there's more comfort in speaking out and speaking up. I do think though that if a young person has a kind of an adult ally that they already know and have some trust with, that would also probably help in those scenarios too. But
You had any names given to you, Hannah?
I have had I know you shared a name about a year ago and we pursued that through some conversations and did not end up getting an application. I think it is hard for young people with their lives in so much transition to commit to something like this. And so I know that that's also something that if it works with their schedule to join for just the full council meetings and join virtually, that are totally welcome to do that. If they have more time and they want to kind of try to round out and form something more like a bigger commitment or internship or joining committees, I think that there's things that we'd be happy to work with them to figure out. I will send out the application link again to all of you. And I think that, you know, I'm always happy to have conversations with folks. I know that George and other members of the executive committee, I'm sure would be happy to talk with folks who might be interested.
Did you get any names from any of the summer programs from the sheriff or police department? Did any of those come to fruition?
So I can speak on us.
Yeah.
I emailed internally to the police department, every employee. I reached out to the director of criminal justice over at AB Tech, shared that information, shared it with our executive staff, and I've not heard it.
I really appreciate your efforts. I feel like this has been 4 years, if not more, that this group that is here about youth can't seem to find a way to make a youth work, which I think is a real concern to me. And I know that some of us have limitations on seeking out a particular person and bringing them to you, right? But I think that I just wonder, where's Sylvia? I think she just left. I was thinking that it would be really helpful for either school justice or something to kind of push this one along, because I haven't seen progress on it, and I think we have to refigure what this position looks like so they have a voice and get it out there. I'm very concerned that we haven't been able to tackle what should be sort of a non-problem, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I'll get with the sheriff's office because we just finished up the internship, 2-week internship to follow up with any of those candidates. There's always that concern when it's high school, just because of the time frame that we're at. Under 21 to me seems like the best fit would be someone in school, college that fits that 21 that still has the availability. We've got a lot of colleges, but we have a handful of colleges within this area that may be able to fit that role for anyone in criminal justice or anything of that nature. So what I'll do beginning next week is reach out to UNCA, Montreat, Warren Wilson, sort of the staples here, and just kind of get a feel to see if anyone has that sort of intention of perhaps wanting to join, and that's the schools. We also have, and I wanted to make sure we gave Andy some time to plug. We talked about this yesterday in the executive committee. Andy, you're working with as well.
Yeah. So I'm happy to play a role in this too. The organization that I lead, we're growing in presence here in Western North Carolina, which is really exciting. So next month, in September and October, we'll be welcoming in about 350 high school and college students from Western North Carolina into our community. We're both a community and a platform that basically connects young people, high school and college students, with professionals who support them against their goals. And we're going to have students from local high schools as well as local colleges. And the beauty of it is that because we're tech-based, I can blast information out and it pops up on kids' phones. immediately. So the new students will be joining us. We have a couple college students right now. It's kind of a pilot from the last 6 months, but we'll have many hundreds in just a month or two. So we'd be glad to share the information too with our students.
And I've often wondered whether if you grow it into a broader internship so that this is one portion and they're doing something else, then maybe it can move to credit and that could help and assist on the college level. And so I just throw that out there because I think that there might be other places we could find time to put them or projects perhaps, if that is not inconsistent with being on JCPC. So.
And the students that join our community, I mean, they're looking to get involved in stuff. They're committed. They are working towards their own goals and want to get involved in all sorts of different ways. So, and that'll include most of the area colleges we'll have students from as well.
That's great. Thank you.
And for whoever. So I don't want it to be like we're streamlining colleges and those. We've got a wonderful community here in Buncombe County. So obviously, if we have contacts and individuals who up underneath there, I just worry about the community because if you're under 21 and you're here, you're probably working your tail off for the most part to try to make it work if you're not in school. And so worrying about their time and commitment is why I kind of shift to more college. But I don't want us to not think of that option within the community because I know we've got a lot of young, a lot of organizations here. A lot of them deal with the youth as well, and they can provide some good insight as we move forward as well. So Andy, I
And
guess
George, I have someone interested for my summer youth program. They're looking over kind of the requirements and stuff, and they're going to decide if they're going to apply. And his name or their name, my mistake, is Gio Aguilar.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. And I will say that, if there is an opportunity where 2 people under the age of 21 are interested and we have an open community member spot, that it might be a good opportunity to bring more than one young person on at the same time.
Have we ever discussed or talked about creating kind of like, just also we sound like an internship program, but also at the high school level for someone in civics or government? I'm thinking with like SILSA, I know they have a little bit more flexibility in how they can get their credits for class. And so could that be a project or an initiative that we implement within JCPC, that there is this internship or this process and they can get high school credit for it, or they get to do this instead of taking an exam or something, so that it's built in and so we don't have to we just know that there's going to be a student made available after so many, if they do a 2-year term or their senior year. So we know that that's at least one seat that it will be consistently filled.
I think that we started talking about that a few years ago, but it has not gone anywhere. What I'm wondering, Chair, and I don't know, it seems to me that maybe if we don't get a name now, or even if we do, I think sort of a subcommittee that could just kind of be an ad hoc subcommittee to work on this issue might be really worthwhile. And that might be something I'd be willing to do even through, it could be a school justice component, right? That's a natural feed with school justice partnership, I think. Yeah. Because it seems to me if we could get a little bit of a lead on that, then maybe we could have that person be as part of their lead to reach out to high schoolers when they have more time, right? That there may be a way to connect those dots where you may only have one on the board, or if you're lucky, 2, but we could still spread that out and kind of develop a base or something. I don't know if there's interest in that, but it really has stalled for years at this point.
Yeah.
And the last one, I believe, was like a relative of the president, and that's how we got the person. I mean, and just out of desperation almost.
With
Yeah.
offering it as a 1-year option, is that possible? Because you're looking at students, they know their schedule for the year, they can commit to it, they may not be able to commit to it the following year, not knowing what is coming. So I think the 2-year might be
problematic for
hindrance.
them.
That's a great idea.
It looks like we'll probably need, if we are doing an internship, it seems like we'd have to get with Buncombe County and, Asheville City. I mean, we'd have to work with the curriculum to understand, I mean, they'd have to give approval, and so that seems like something, if we can't, school's right around the corner, so, what we can do is reach out to those individuals within the county, with the city, to see if we can get that ball rolling. If not right now, but for next year, we can get something streamlined so that can just be a rollover position. Hannah, what are you gonna say?
I was going to say that Dr. No, I think that when we spoke with Principal Cush at SILSA on your equity outreach, I think that she was interested in that possibility. So I think I'd be happy to help. If you want to reach out to her and copy me, or if you want me to reach out to her and loop you in to see if there's anybody that she wants to that would fit with their schedule for the coming year. I do think that while technically it's a 2-year term, I think we can be very transparent with them about that if they need to step down after a year, or truly really at any point, that that's absolutely within their right to do. So.
One final thought, several of us will be in a meeting at 12 o'clock today. I don't mind mentioning that with some support.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
With all that being said, it sounds like we've got a lot of possibilities in the works. So hopefully this will get fixed this year, and then hopefully for an internship as we can continue to grow, perhaps 2025 and into the future. So that's the new application, review and actions, vacancies and recruitment. We've kind of went over that as well. Anything further from anyone as to the JCPC membership or anything like that before we move on? All right. So next we move on to the FY 2023-2024 committee assignments. And as we look to move forward, we have planning, monitoring, and allocations. So we have the chairs of this. I believe are all present. Maybe Angel is not. Planning is Angie, is that right? So Angie's the chair of planning. Monitoring would be Brandon, and then allocations was Angel. So those are the chairs. However, we're going to need to have committee assignments for individuals who are going to be able to participate up underneath those committees as well as we look forward to this upcoming year. Obviously, if you had played a role in one of those committees last year and would like to continue in that role in that same committee, we would like for that to happen. Also, if you would like to move around, and if you were in planning last year and wanting to do monitoring, or vice versa, if you were wanting to do monitoring and allocations, any of that sort of stuff, we kind of encourage you all to kind of move around and see different phases so that you can understand each one of those committees and appreciate what they have to offer. With that being said, I'll first go with Angie for a planning committee plug and see if there's anyone that's wanting to join her.
Okay, so I had Scott and Beth and Jeremy and Brandon and Sylvia, Lorraine, and Dee Tyrell on my planning committee.
I'd like to continue.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, Beth is a go. Scott's a go. Sylvia is a go.
McGurk's
He'll
probably
be rolling off. And Lorraine, I know you're popping out. Yeah.
How many would you need?
And Brandon would only be, so, well, I don't know how many we need.
Were you fine last year with the amount of numbers that you had?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to fill 2 spots.
Brandon would be and so Brandon, do you want to continue on the planning committee, or do you want to look at getting on a different committee for this next fiscal year?
If you need my help, yeah. I know I told Andy I would help him out with monitoring. And
I'll tell you, I do like having your perspective on the planning committee, but I won't give you like a lot of work. I know our
The
meetings
bargaining
ran really
begins.
long. But,
I will
I'd
give
love
Brendan
to
the
have-
shout out that I believe he served on all 3 committees last year, in addition to being a committee chair.
And now he's vice chair.
Yes, he's moving up through the ranks. He'll be after my position
Yeah.
very
Watch out,
shortly, which,
George. Yeah, watch
okay.
So at this point, then I'll have Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm here, Angie. I'm happy
Hurt
to,
my feelings, I'm just saying.
no, I'm happy to do whatever. I've done the planning committee and allocations the last several years. And if we need to fill a spot, I can. If someone else is interested in jumping in, I can help with monitoring or something else. So happy to be a free agent if needed.
Angie, do you want to share a little bit about what the planning committee does?
Okay. What, Hannah?
Share what planning committee does for anyone who is out there wondering what exactly
Gotcha.
signing up would be.
Okay. I don't think maybe she joined, well, anyway, maybe it was the previous. It would be good to actually have her on, yeah. So yes, the planning committee. So what we do is, and Lorraine, you'll have to pop in and help me if not, please. We review the YASI data, the risk and needs assessment. And this past year especially, we were pretty focused on the RED data, the racial equity data, which is pretty exciting because we've been talking about this for years. And we finally were able to get the RED data from the RED, I don't know what her title is in the state. She was able to join us and pull through some of the data with us. And really what the planning committee, all the data helps us inform about what services are needed. And I will say again, I keep going back to racial equity data in a lot of my meetings actually in the county when we're talking about issues like this, because it all starts with the kids and moving up, right? So we really, the data that we were able to pull, what little bit of data helped.
There you go.
Yeah. I know. Well, it really helped inform us as to, hey, we have these programs that we've been funding for years, and let's look at what are the, what's the racial breakdown of the kids we're serving? What do these people look like who are serving these kids? Do they look like the kids that they're serving, and how many kids do we have, and that we need to really compare to say, hey, we really need to look at some programs that are gonna serve these kids that maybe live and work and, look like these kids. So really Emoja came in and it really helped this data helped inform us that, hey, we have this great program Emoja, and they are actually serving these kids that are popping to the top, not in a real fair manner, with DJJ. And so now we have this program that hopefully that can go in and help and work with these kids on the front end, so we're not working with them, the prison to pipeline. Did that make sense?
It did.
Whenever the recording starts back up, would you mind repeating all of that?
Yes.
Of course, the recording stopped. And I'm happy if anyone else wants to say anything. So I'm excited, actually. I mean, who wants to be voluntold to do a committee, But I really enjoy doing this, I have to say. And I had a good group, because it really is exciting to look at this and be able to look at making changes with the data that we have. So it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Lorraine?
And if I could just say a quick shout out to Angie and to Hannah, because they worked very hard to put together the resource guide based on conversations, and they spent, I know Angie and too, both of them and their team. Mo, you also spent hours like editing things and working to put that together, and Angie did a very thorough look over for the resources, especially for mental health.
And you have
comparing
saved
mental
so
health
much
and-
time for me with your resource guide. It is phenomenal.
That's
So,
great to hear.
yeah, I mean, hey, do you have this? I sure do. Let me show you this 45-page PDF. It's gonna get every bit of information you possibly need. So very thankful for that.
Well, we can't wait. This isn't part of this planning committee discussion, but we can't wait to come and talk to the SRO soon. Well, yeah, about the services, the JCPs.
We'll put in a plug for you before y'all get there.
It's obviously a huge, right, we can't even get to monitoring our allocations without planning, right? I mean, looking at the data, understanding what we have in our county, the Moja and Unete is a prime example of looking at the data, understanding what we have in our community, the resources that are available, and finding that program and making sure that we help assist. It's exactly what planning is for and what we're here to achieve. So we could see it work just based upon what we're looking at in this upcoming year as Moja and Unete are doing what they do in our county. Huge importance. I don't think necessarily we need to be voluntold. We're all here because we want to be here. So we're all volunteering. Each committee is extremely important for myriad other reasons as to why it plays a part in juvenile crime prevention. Angie, I know that perhaps with Brandon off, without McGirt, and I couldn't think Angel would be in McGirt because she's also in the allocations. If you have Jeremy, Scott, Beth, Sylvia, occasionally Brandon would pop in, occasionally Lorraine would pop in. Am I missing anyone else?
No, I think we're good. I do think I'd like to get with Shannon Martin, because I
Okay.
think her perspective from the schools, because that I think will be a bigger discussion this year as well with some of the data that's come out, the county school. So we can talk with her.
Okay, that sounds good.
How often, what's the time commitment?
Well, that's a good question. We did meet, there was a lot to go through, I will say, and so we did have some pretty long meetings. I say we've met 3 times at least for a few hours each time online.
I'm interested, but that's right during our budget time, and with us incorporating equity into our budget, I'm booked. And so I wanna say yes, but I also wanna be mindful of.
Why don't we just put you on the invite when I do send an invite for the planning committee, and you can sort of just be aware?
That would work. That would be great, actually.
And if you can pop in, you can pop in. But we understand if you can't, then Dr. No.
That works. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's, I was actually gonna ask that question. Is there a
Yeah, I
position
don't
for
think-
acquisitions?
You don't have anyone. I know.
Either Kim Robinson or she could.
Hey, Dr. No.
Hi.
I haven't seen, this is Brandon. I haven't seen you since you came out and spoke to my youth group. I just want to tell you I appreciate y'all coming out.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it. So if ever you need us again, let me know.
Yeah, you'll be getting an email from me. We're doing our celebration ceremony on the 24th. I meant to put you on that list. I need to get that to you. I know it's on a Saturday, so some people can't make it out, but yeah, definitely want to invite all the speakers that came out. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, send me that, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Shannon did
All right, as we figure out that and the people that are gonna be assigned in that planning committee in this upcoming year, we can move on into the monitoring committee. I believe this is your baby, is that right, Andy? Yes, debut, and I believe Brandon is backing you as well, so do you know a little bit about the monitoring? Obviously, you were able to do that last year. If you can kind of just briefly explain what you did, that would probably give an indication of what that would involve for anyone who would want to be assigned underneath that role.
Yeah, so I see the JCPC as like a garden, and it's our collective job to like create the conditions for awesome organizations to support kids. And what does every garden need? A gardener. And I think that's the monitoring committee. So we got the planning committee that's planting the seeds.
Okay.
We got the allocations committee that's giving the water. But gardens can only thrive when they got gardeners getting there. I wasn't gonna go there. Gardens can only thrive when there's people going out to the garden and tending to it and checking to see how it's growing and thriving. So if you're someone that likes looking at lots of data and meeting over Zoom for lots of hours, the monitoring committee is not for you. If you're someone that really likes budgets and doing lots of math, monitoring committee is also not for you. But if you're someone that likes to actually get on the ground with the organizations that we're supporting, get to meet some awesome leaders, and in some cases even see programming in action, monitoring committee is for you. If you want to know what we do, ask Lorraine. But that's
That was a good.
That was a
Wow,
good.
that's probably the best, I think, best analogy and best plug for the monitoring committee I've ever heard.
now people actually have to sign up though. So.
Yeah, we'll see how.
Well, I'm not a gardener, but I don't mind a weed eat, so.
There we go, there's one.
Yeah,
There we go.
It was great last year, so.
I'll continue because I hate that I wasn't able to participate this year. So I definitely want to do that.
And I will say monitoring, you know, could be, you know, if you're on the committee like we were last year and, you know, we're faced with, you know, hard decisions. So, yeah, hopefully we won't have that, in this year's cycle, but yeah, so it's a nice garden, but sometimes, you know, like Andy said, you got to make sure you're tending them and, you know, and sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do, but I think that we're all here for the same reason, and we want to make sure that everything is being utilized properly, and everyone's getting the most that they can get out of the funds that we provide.
I appreciate your ongoing support, Brandon. Thank you.
Banta said she would be willing to help again this year in the committee as well.
Banta. Now, as we go into those programs that we have to monitor, there's usually 2 individuals per program. Is that correct?
Yes, it's usually a team of 2 for each program. And it's kind of concentrated between, we start getting organized in December to kind of get people oriented and get initiated, or sometimes late November. And then the monitoring itself takes place during the month of January, and report out is in February at the February meeting.
And all right, you know, obviously don't have to make decisions right now, but as you get wind of these types of committees, if you feel the heart that you want to tend to garden and get your hands dirty or plant seeds or water, obviously fill whatever role floats your boat as it comes through, but we encourage everyone to obviously dive on in and help participate. As we move on, it'll be allocations. I know Angel's not here. Obviously, allocations deals with the finance of everything. Obviously, once the seeds have been planted, once we've decided as to the gardening rules of the garden and how we're cultivating those plants, those seeds to grow, it's next is the watering, which is dealing with the money, continuing to watch those programs grow and foster. So it's a huge part to be able to allocate money to these types of programs and how we do it. So obviously important in the process of juvenile crime prevention, making sure these programs get funded and funded in a way that they still stay productive within our community. Allocations, I'm not sure who was on the allocations committee last year. You know?
Last year, I'm trying to remember. I can look back actually.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
Sorry, planning is just.
No, it's our boring committee. I'll stick to it here.
Actually, the more that you were explaining it, like, I can't even do like that, doesn't know. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I know Andy's more exciting, and that's quite
You had to come with something better next time.
I wish we had a recording for that.
Yeah, yes.
Going viral.
I did confirm, I do think that we are still live streaming and recording on Public Input Buncombe County. So you will be able to go back and watch the pitch again.
Wonderful.
The viewership is spiking, right?
It is.
From 1 to 2.
Gardeners from everywhere. Just, and again, you don't have to decide now. Allocations is towards the end of the time of our timeline and understanding things, but again, we will need all hands on deck. Obviously, if you were here last year, you understood the complicated process we were and having to deal with what we had to deal with for allocations. So if we get to that point, we don't have, go ahead, Hannah.
Just as a quick reminder, last year we had Sergeant Loveland, George Redmond, Sylvia Clement, Angie Gardner, Elizabeth Kraft, Eric Robinson, Jeremy Bricker, Banta Whitner, and Angel Redmond. And that's so with monitoring, you do get to go and do a deep dive of one program, maybe two, depending on your schedule and the size of the team, and really get to know that program well. And allocations, you do get to hear from all of the programs, and really get to have a better understanding of kind of the breadth of work that the JCPC funded programs are doing. If there are new applicants, to hear from them about the way that they are working with young people in our community. So, and then you do make decisions about where the money will go for Buncombe County for the coming 2 years. This time we'll have, it'll be the start of a new 2-year cycle. So all of the $644,000 that Buncombe County gets from the state will be on the table during this year's request for proposals and allocations process. So all the programs will be reapplying, and they'll be in person that day to share, or virtual, but they'll be there present at the meeting to share what their work is and where they're hoping to bring it.
And Banta also volunteered for that committee.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that we have a 2-year funding cycle that's coming up, and this year coming up will be start of that 2 years as we move past the 2 years, not this year, but next year. Does that still mean that allocation decisions will be made potentially on those programs? We're reviewing allocations. I know if we've agreed at that point this year on a 2-year funding, does that mean on 2025, 2026 that we're just reviewing that, or will allocation then come in a sort of biannual type of committee?
It depends. I believe that Umoja and Unite will only be eligible for, Lorraine, will they be eligible for a 2-year funding cycle yet, or is it just the one?
Yeah, you'll have the same, it was the same as it was with Buncombe County Youth Justice Clinical Program. So you'll have another year 2 funding thing with a partial amount just for what's currently allocated to Umoja. And the reason for that is just any program that's in its first year of funding is not eligible for the 2-year funding cycle yet, but can be after that. So,
and similarly, if there were any new programs that applied and received funding this year, then they would also, whatever funding they receive would also be a part of the following year's RFP, and they'd have to go through the 1-year reapplication. And then this past year, there was every program, even if they're committed to even if they're allocated or awarded 2 years of funding, they still need to go through monitoring the following year. And if there was enough concern about the program's outcomes or processes, if there were serious concerns raised during monitoring, then that is something that the allocations committee would have to consider about whether they would continue to be eligible for a 2nd year of funding.
Yeah, you all did have that happen this past year. That's why you had 2 RFPs on the year 2 when you potentially might have not had any if you had all your programs on that 2-year cycle.
Yeah.
So it's a little confusing, but the 2-year cycle can only go, and you all will have that option to vote for 2-year or 1 year against.
So for all intents and purposes, 2 years doesn't lock you in 2 years. There's still monitoring. There's still decisions that need to be made. Evident with Buncombe Structure Day this past year as we look at these programs and still allocate and determine if the funding needs to go for another round.
But we have heard incredibly positive things from the programs who were awarded 2 years of funding and had positive monitoring outcomes, that the ability to have that 2 years of commitment instead of just one every time has been a very positive feedback that we've gotten from programs.
All right. I believe that's all the committees. Again, we have a little bit of time, so if you haven't signed up for a committee, please think about it here in the next month. Hopefully by October, our next board meeting, everyone who is part of this has put their name in the hat for some sort of assignment, so they can be a gardener for Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that I'll plan to just throw my name in all of them in case things go awry and we don't have the necessary seeds planted and or weed pickers or water hose available. So I'll do planning, monitoring, and allocations as it goes through, so we can put my name there for that. But for others, just kind of think about what comes to you, and hopefully in October, as we review this, we can get confirmation on all these assignments as we look forward to going into this next year. Next on the agenda is DJJ update. Sylvia, what we got?
Well, my apologies for being late, first of all. I was in a very intense conversation about my kids in secure custody. So I hate to start off with bad news.
No.
But Madison will no longer take any of Buffalo County kids. And Scott, I just got that news, I think it was because of court on Monday. And so
What does that mean now? No Madison, so where are the kids coming from? Where are the kids be held now? We going all the way to
Alexander. Yeah. So that's a 3-hour drive. And so I might be on the road traveling too. So just to help my team out, because I can't have them on the road, working all day and on the road. But anyway, yeah, just in for a lot of ongoing stuff that we've had going on for a little while. So I don't want to get into specifics, it's still in conversations, but yeah. They will be going to Alexander from moving forward.
And just tell everyone that drive time, like when they have to be at court at certain times in the morning, that's good for everyone to hear.
Okay. So our court starts at 9:30, so it'll probably put staff on the road by 7:30-ish or so to get our kids here on time, and then secure custody probably a little bit earlier, like 11 or something like that. So yeah, they'll be on the road a lot. So yeah.
Do you have any opening positions at this time? Are you filled technically for your, just in DJJ in general?
Yeah, we have a few. That's part of my report out was we got a couple of people in the pipeline for positions. I have interviewed, well, had the chief discussion with one last weekend. I have one scheduled this week. So, but still they're new and they won't be able to transport. But yeah, so that's going to be one of our challenges.
Does Alexander do any remotes? You know, WebEx?
They have done in the past, so I hope they will be open, but secure custody, they normally have them in person. So
you might want to talk to the kids, and the attorneys talk to the kids so that maybe that can be proposed differently.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation. So yeah, but not looking good. Looking good. But yeah, we do have a couple people, new folks in the pipeline for positions. So hopefully that'll turn out in our favor. Let's see what else. We did kick the summer off good. We had a good Camp Greer Day. And thank you to all those that volunteered, some of the consultants, and who else? Hannah volunteered. The kids got to do horseback riding, swimming, canoeing, the fun things that they normally do, and enjoying those delicious, thick peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So they always look forward to that. So that went well, just to kick the summer off. And then
Sylvia, can we get that date in the future? And is that something that can be spread around to see who within this committee would like to be able to volunteer?
Yeah, sure,
Or is
we
that-
did that before, and it worked out pretty well, but I just didn't wanna have more adults than kids.
Right.
And so, it was kind of looking that way, but, yeah, but I can share that date with you. Normally, it's like it's right after school on that Wednesday, next Wednesday after school.
Okay.
Because then you get into summer camp with the camp, and then they don't have those days available for DJJ. So, and I
I see.
always like for the kids to have that opportunity. So, but I will let you guys know.
Okay.
And it was really great to see the kids. So, yeah, they love that.
And so one of the other things we started back, Judge, is our book club.
Oh, yay.
And so they're reading The City of Amber. And so we had 4 kids to start the first session off. We didn't have it yesterday because of all the chaos in town, so we thought traffic would be kind of crazy.
That's
So,
smart.
yeah.
Going on? Baseball.
Thank you, Lovely.
As the kids say, UT hell. Yeah, we didn't have it yesterday because of that, so, but we are off to a good start with the book club as well.
Explain the book club, like what is it, when does it meet, what's, you know?
They meet for 8 weeks. It's on a Wednesday. If kids are placed on a diversion contract to participate in the book club as opposed to sending them to court as they could be. It's lower end misdemeanor charges. And so, but we want to give them an opportunity. Some kids love to read.
Yeah.
They really, really do. And so from our JJBH dollars, we got some of the books, and Vaya assisted with buying some of our books as well. But they participate in this book club, and it's facilitated by our court counselor. Our lead court counselor has some questions. They talk about the book, the character in the book, how it relates to the kid.
Mhm.
And so they go through that for an hour. And then on the 8th week, we have a celebration to kudo them for participation. They get a gift bag and those types of things. So
How does that work with kids who are getting in diversion on different days, right, or different times? So if you start this 8-week program, they can just roll in, and does it go beyond diversion? Because I would think people need to be reading no matter what the charges are. Book club would be extremely helpful for some of these kids who
And we-
even have higher charges.
we have offered it to kids that are on probation, on supervision. If court counselors, while engaging in that case, feel like this kid is appropriate or they like to read,
Mhm.
they can offer them to participate in the book club. So,
How many
So-
kids are involved?
excuse me?
How many kids at the book club?
Right now it's about 4 because we're just starting, but they can take up to 8 to
Great.
10.
Thank you.
And do y'all? I'm trying to say. Donations, book donations or book ideas from community organizations, like if a community organization wanted to donate books.
We have our set 10 for right now,
Got
but we would be open to, it just depends on the age level.
Okay.
So we're not looking for chapter books yet, but just kind of that 14, 15, maybe 13, just depends on where they are. So, yeah. But we can talk offline, and yeah, I'll be more than happy to tell you what the list looks like right now, so.
I know some wonderful picture books that are available.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying, you know,
Yeah,
saying anything
I
else.
remember, I don't think at the age level, I was younger, just, adolescent, so, yeah.
Can you email me a copy of the book list?
Yes, yes, if you can spread that out, it would be nice for us to at least be able to get what book list or books are on that book list.
Okay. Also, DJJ is looking, we're gonna have our fall DJJ conference in October. And at that, since the legislation was passed on House Bill 834, we're gonna have more of a discussion about that, Hannah. We talked about it a little bit online yesterday, but that House bill should be implemented December the 1st. So, and what that is, and just a little bit that I know, and Lorraine, you can chime in, is related to the 16 and 17-year-olds that commit A through E felonies who will go back to adult court. It's kind of like a reversal of raise the age. So we'll speak more about that and provide more information or details about what it all entails. So, you want to say anything?
Well, and I'll just say, yeah, as Sylvia said, it goes into effect on December 1st of this year, and the original raised age was, December 1st of 19. So the youth will still be housed in DJJ detention, in juvenile detention centers, not in the adult jail. So that won't change, but those cases will start in the adult system again and then come over. It won't affect the misdemeanor ones, so still will come to DJJ. So it's not a complete reversal. Just a couple additional pieces about it were, one positive thing was if there are additional charges put in place now for if an adult solicits a juvenile to commit a felony, there are charges for that person, because I think that's one thing that has been concerning with people reaching out to youth, like if it's a gang or a group, having the youth do it because of a lesser sentence kind of thing. So there are some pieces in place for that, and principals have a little bit more leeway on mandatory suspension kinds of language. So that changed a little. Those are a couple of things, but the other will be a major shift. So in October, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, and those are just A through E felonies that are gonna come through. So essentially, as opposed to starting in juvenile court and being transferred up, it's gonna start in Superior Court. Obviously, if we can look to Blythe and Scott, I guess in 2025, this won't start and take place until December, so y'all won't see anything really until 2025, but if we can get some push or some feedback, I guess, towards this spring of how that's going.
I just got back from the school government on training on that for transfers. And the many multitude ways that we can do it after December 1, but it's that losing the original jurisdiction.
Can someone, for the non-lawyers in the room, can you just like break down, like what are the practical, I mean, I have a sense for what it is, but like what are some of the practical implications of the adjustment?
Older kids will be more likely tried as adults
Yeah.
on a greater range of crimes.
We've had a lot, I need to look at the ins and outs. I've seen this coming, and I know generally what's going on. I don't know the specifics of when you can bring them back to juvenile court, which I hope will happen. I've had a lot of kids who come in on Class C felonies, Class D felonies that we keep in juvenile court. We find a way to make it work.
And tell us real quick again, what would be a Class C, Class B?
Robbery, so trafficking. There's only so much the adult system can really do to help these kids. The types of resources the adult system have are not as targeted as what we can do for a kid in our system. Still be working with them versus an adult probation officer or prison. Well, of course, they would until they're 18. Would be custody.
And currently, you
But
can
down the
look at
road-
some of those factors to make those decisions to go up.
As opposed to.
But if it starts up or starts in the criminal side, you may have less flexibility to look at all those decisions coming back. I think they're still there, but it's different.
I mean, I guess they're gonna originate in 3B.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna lose your
It's an adult-
privacy as well.
kind of
Like
adult criminal.
before, the juveniles would be sealed, like all that stuff is sealed until you go up.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be made apparent who these individuals are, and then it's working backwards.
And that part of it is really maybe one of the biggest concerns, I think, which is the anonymity is gonna be
Privacy.
gone, all the privacy, because even if you bring it back
Yeah,
and
no,
you
they've
expunge
already-
everything, it's already out of the bag, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And, historically, I mean, that's what kills the other youth, right? I mean, it's that reactivity and that teenage brain that makes them go do awful things with other, getting names out of the bag is not something you really need to be doing with that age group.
Kid pulls a knife, give him a chewing gum.
Right.
16, 17 years old, it's a serious crime, but we can do a lot more for them in the juvenile system than the adult system can, right?
And they'll be housed with adults.
No, they'll still be housed with juvenile.
So when they go to adult court and they're okay.
Yeah, and a lot of youth in the juvenile detention centers right now are awaiting adult court now, even under the current system, so.
So in juvenile court, a lot of those cases that potentially could go up would get caught up in what's called YDC, youth detention centers. So kind of like a catch-all before kids get up into adult and just kind of lose everything at that point with the felonies that they would get. They would get this sort of ceiling of juvenile court, which is youth detention center. Now, more likely, many of these individuals won't come down to YDC. They'll stay up and will catch these felonies. It'll be up to the DA's office, mainly. I think obviously the PD's office and many of the defense attorneys are going to want to bring it down. I think that's just, in general, it's going to be the DA's office position of how they want to police that sort of gateway and allowing individuals to come back down and what that looks like in a process. Blythe, are you going to be the primary one?
No, it's David Denninger, so I was also going to talk about him maybe stepping into the role here since he is the juvenile person from the DA's office right now. But yeah, even aside from the decisions of how to eventually handle it, no matter what that decision will be, it'll be starting in adult court.
2 questions. One, I guess this ruling was made, was it made from, I guess, how was the decision made? Like, was there any way to lobby or say, let's not do this? Or like, 'cause that's not my world, so that's what I'm asking. Like, how did that, I guess, decision get made?
Yeah, House Bill 834 was proposed and it passed in the House and then it passed in the Senate. I believe that was the order of it. And then it was actually vetoed by the governor.
And then overridden based upon our political body in North Carolina.
Got it. And then my second question, what is, I guess, our council's role with preparing or informing community? Because I feel like hearing this, I'm like, we need to tell parents. So we need to tell, we gotta get this out there because that's a game changer.
Correct.
And so what would be our role? Cause I'm all like, let's have meetings, let's have gatherings, let's bring food and tell people what all this means. Cause even like, I'm not sure, I mean, y'all are explaining it great, but there are people I know who don't know even what I know now from sitting in this room.
Right. And they're gonna wonder why their kid isn't in juvenile court and why they're upstairs, and which defeats Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. We can't utilize our resources on many of these if a lot of them would be going upstairs. And so it would diminish our population. But more importantly, we need to educate the community as to this coming through and what that looks like for many of these parents and kids that perhaps get caught up in that A through E felony and how that may affect them. And a lot of them in school. Like, I mean, a lot of that stuff, when you do an application, you're not gonna be able to hide that anymore. It's gonna be up there. So any individuals that are 11th, 12th grade catching any of this stuff is gonna be extremely detrimental as they look to go and further their education. And it's probably gonna lengthen the process. I can imagine it's probably gonna, 3B gets caught up in a storm. I mean, it's the timeliness of it is going to be another thing that I am concerned about as well.
Especially with the new court process.
Yes, with e-courts and stuff. So typically in juvenile court, it's 3 months. They kind of want something done. You throw it up in an adult court, you're looking at 6. It gets longer in that process to make a determination as to what's best suited for these kids. So the time frame is going to be blown up as well. Things that hopefully we can address with PD's office and DA's office in 2025 as we look towards how that's going to really affect the kids as well as JCPC.
And my last thing is, unless anybody else have questions about that Lorraine and George and the DA. Is that we're scheduled to meet with SROs, the Asheville City Schools and Buncombe County Schools next week.
Yes.
So
it's in fact,
the
20th.
I got that one. Okay.
And what time?
9. In both of them, yeah. This is our first year doing that, so.
As we move forward, because I don't want to be too late as we start off this year. Before we get into Lorraine, Judge Johnson-Smith, brief update on school justice partnership and how that went last meeting and what we're kind of moving forward with.
So we had a meeting, I think it was in June. I feel like this summer has collapsed on me, but And I thought it was really actually, to me, one of the more get to it kind of meetings where we finally stopped exchanging pleasantries and started working. So I was grateful for that. We did have someone from Invest Collegiate who gave their spiel about data, which was really helpful. So we kind of focused on, again, how are the systems collecting data related to offenses that occur, and also what type of disciplinary action or consequence or diversion has been working in the school system, and why we need to be proactive about collecting and gathering that maybe quarterly in order to actually see the trends instead of just waiting for somebody to say, hey, would you put all that data on the table? And so that was, I thought, very helpful. And I feel like that's going in a positive direction. The second thing that came up was it was very apparent that in some ways, I think there are still folks in the school system that believe the job of the court is to make the school safe, which really is not. It is true that we want to keep people, that public safety is a factor. But if you think about everybody who is charged with a criminal crime, for example, it doesn't mean you take everybody out of the grocery store where you walk daily and get your groceries just because somebody also is walking daily with a charge that's not been all the way through the system. And I think that helping the schools figure out what they're not helping them, letting the schools work through their safety rules and needs and not throw it back on the court system to create total safety and zero policies. I think we started seeing some of that come through a little bit. So, and then the third part to it, which is where we're heading, and I think we'll have a meeting in October is my guess. I know that Judge Hill wants to have one more meeting before he retires in December, is getting the SROs together. So I think one of the great things that came out of this is you've got both APD and the Sheriff's Office now coming to this with you next week. And I am excited and thrilled for that. I think all of us are hopeful that there is some really good stuff happening within APD. And I think there's some really good intention happening at the Sheriff's, but there's some disconnect and we really need to drill down on how to support them. I feel like the SROs are really put in a position of being pulled both ways, and that part of what the school justice needs to do is to be able to alleviate that pressure a little bit and to kind of maybe help shift the framing of what SROs need to be, how to support the SROs, like with the referrals and the resource that Hannah's worked on. And so those were sort of the three main points I felt like. I don't know if you want to add anything more, but I did feel like we were starting to see where there were differences of opinion, and it's taken us a little while to get to be able to talk about the nuts of it, is what I thought. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I thought it was, I thought we finally got to the point where we're working towards, and I think it's just we're starting to finally get a clear understanding of what Sylvia needs from the school justice partnership, what she's taking, what she's not taking. And for a couple of years now, it's just been this misunderstanding of what goes to her and what doesn't. And as long as every person in that SRO position understands what she's going to take, and I'm, personally with our agency, they still call. They still call because there may be different instances that may be worth conversation about. It's not just this is the line. Sylvia's never said, this is the line, we're not doing anything else.
Right.
It's an open conversation, but it has to be open.
Right.
And I think that's where there's been some misconceptions, and things haven't been going as smoothly. And I think that it was interesting. I think she was talking about, maybe I got a little amped up.
There were several, but it was earnest and good, I thought. I mean, I was just so grateful to see it come out, frustration come out. No, it was good. It was worthwhile.
I walked out there and said, I'm probably not going to be invited back. But with that being said, I mentioned that our relationship, that we work well together. And it's so funny that I got so many responses from folks saying, what do you mean you guys work well together? What does that even mean? And I'm so confused, but I think we have several entities in this one position. The school justice thing is not just SROs and DJJ, and it's like this whole group has got to understand why we're doing it. What are the reasons why we're doing it, and how can we flourish under that, right?
And I think a
so-
lot of that goes to, this was signed right before COVID, and we
Yeah.
had a lot of turnover and a lot of regrouping because COVID changed school systems dramatically. And so it feels like we're getting back to being able to kind of refocus that and go forward. And of course, yeah, we will see what happens next year with that too. With the, again, the court system isn't just on e-courts, but the court system is losing, retiring judges, is gaining 2 new judges, and we'll have a new chief sometime named. And all of that can impact every single part of this.
Well, just like staff as well. You know, we got a lot of staff coming and
Right.
going, so there's a lot of transitioning as well, so.
Yeah, and everyone had this idea, and I promise I'll stop. Everybody had this idea. The reason why we went to this is because you didn't have staff.
No, that's
And
not
it was
true.
like this misconception. What are we talking about? So,
Well, it was this plan that was created during COVID, and everything during COVID was in its cloud. And so from school justice partnerships should have been a plan for the schools. So and then the SROs got caught because the schools hadn't developed a plan, because they hadn't developed the plan, because they were in COVID, and so they didn't necessarily, and by the time we got out of it, we're trying to implement, and the schools don't have what they don't have the plan, and so we're saying that you should have it. It was just, it was a slow rolling project that comes out, but now I'm pretty sure, I know Asheville City's got plans, we've seen that, Buncombe County, so it's just now making sure the school's aware, they know the plan, they make sure the SROs understand as well. It's gonna be hiccups every now and then. I don't think it'll be as worse as it was last year. I think every year it'll get better. It's just the change is gonna take
Well,
time.
and I think until we develop work groups, we can't really move forward. And so that's part of what we gotta address is how do we do the work alongside of the global meetings?
we just need advocates in every school for this, and it's
You
just
really do.
trying to.
And the good thing
find
about the people we have for data is we were able to bring in the charters, because we haven't really done that yet, so we added that last time. Thank you.
So Andy, to speak about your garden, they did talk about having a garden for in-school and for in-school suspension at this training that I went to. So instead of sending the kids to ISS, they would send them to this garden to do the work. So that was one of my takeaways from the conference that I went to. I was like, oh, that's exciting.
Not figuratively, you're talking about a real garden.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've already
How full
talked to
circle
Karen
this is
about
coming
it.
around.
Yeah, it was exciting to do that.
Thank you all for the work that you've been doing with the School Justice Partnership.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll point out on the monthly report that's on the purple sheet, and also got emailed out for all of you, attending remotely online. If you'll look at the report for the numbers from this past year, you'll see where it says actual clients served for 23-24. It's the third column, and then the fourth one is the number of juvenile court referrals for 23-24 that were from DJJ specifically. And you'll notice a couple of programs. If you look at teen court, only half of their charges, only 23 out of 64 came from DJJ. So those are a lot of direct referrals from SROs at schools. So that's there. I just wanted to point that out. There's an example of that
The push.
impact of the work y'all have done with the School Justice Partnership. And so just really good work that y'all are doing. So thank you for that. And I know, and sounds like y'all are in the storming stage, figuring out, for group
I'm just
development,
glad. I've
figuring
been
out
really
that.
tired of being in the other state.
That's the nice cities and on to the work. So good job. Good job with that. And the rest of the report, it's a little different from the regular monthly reports in that it focuses mostly on year end. You can see where things are for the year and look at those. And then the last 3 columns to the right are the current year as of July 1st. So you can look at that, and then the completions, the terminations. I know termination sounds bad, but it's just they've completed the program. That's on the back side. That's for 23-24. And the measurable objectives are also here. Go ahead, George.
No, keep going. You
I
keep
know
going.
it's 10 if you need to.
Well, I mean, it's 10 o'clock or 10:01 right now. Lorraine is just finishing up on the updates. Obviously, she was going over the program summary, which talks about the clients who served and the referrals and coming through. I don't want to keep y'all too much longer as we go through, but y'all have that information here. Lorraine, is there anything else besides the documents that all these individuals have regarding measurable objectives or anything like that that they can take away from this meeting?
I'll just mention a couple quick things. Y'all can look at the measurable objectives. They're pretty similar for each program type. Most of them met the measurable objectives. There were only a couple. I think there was one that had smaller numbers, but there was one measurable objective they didn't meet, but or two, but most of the rest did meet them. And just keep in mind, you'll notice some of the goals are 70%, some are 90%. The program set those goals, so it's not apples to apples. It's different, depending on the measurable objective and what the program would like to strive for. So keep that in mind, but you can look through those for each of the programs, including the one that it was not funded for this year. And then the only other things I want to say is the DJJ annual report, Juvenile Justice Annual Report for 2023 is out. And Hannah, I'll send that to you so you can forward that out to everyone and look at all of statewide results for community programs, including JCPC funded programs, as well as contractual programs, detention centers, youth development centers, all of that is in there. So take a look at that. And the artwork in it is really awesome. Done by some students. So look at that. NC Safe, we've passed out a lot of gun locks since our last meeting and a lot of events. And I know there was the National Night Out too, that Asheville Police did, and so we got some stuff to Debbie for that, and so thank you all for all your work for that. The only other thing I'll mention, final accounting's due today, if you're a program, and for last year's programs, and what was the other one thing? Oh, and the teen court survey that they've been doing, the evaluation is going to be, the report for that will be out in September with Montford College. So have that for you all soon. Thank you.
Excellent. So we're at the point where we're at public comments and announcements. Before we get to there, I want to thank obviously all the programs, Aspire, Teen Court, Welcome Youth Justice Clinical, Early Learning Pivot Points, Moja and Minette for being here. Any comments, any announcements, anything that's happening in the horizon that y'all can let us know that we can be a part of or that we can help broadcast out would be extremely helpful for our community as we move forward to school starting here in the week. Yes.
The Hope for the Future program, which is Umoja's youth program that runs out of school, after school time, and as a summer program. This is our third year running the summer program, and at the end of the summer, we have a celebration, a party. And this year it's on Saturday, the 24th. So not this weekend, but the following weekend, Saturday, from 6 to 11 at the YMI Center. The theme is, the first year's theme was a white party, dressed in white. Last year's was black. This is black and white.
Okay.
So get your outfit together. Tickets are $35. Okay. 6 to 11, food, entertainment. The youth in the program are working really hard on the entertainment. It'll be really great. So come on out, join us. We'd love to have you. We'll see you all there.
Is there a link or is there something that we can make sure we push that out as well?
It's right on the Umoja homepage is a link to tickets. Okay. And
was that the same event that was at the Mule last year?
Excuse me?
Was that the same event that was at the Mule last year?
Yes, correct. Okay. Correct.
And they're moving to YMI?
Yeah, it'll be at the YMI.
6 to 11. All right, the 24th, 6 to 11 at YMI. black and white with the mojo.
Do you have a flyer or anything like that?
I don't have one on me right
No,
now.
can you email me one?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure you get one.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to quickly share that the Justice Services Department has hired a new director. She'll start next month, so hopefully we'll be able to introduce her at the October meeting.
Georgia, we have another Citizens Police Academy, in case anybody was interested in getting into that. Applications are in, to just learn about the whole police department. You have friends or family or any particular reason you would be interested in finding out the in workings of the police department. Applications are online for that as well.
This isn't like the youth, this is just citizens within this county.
Yes, correct.
Do they just go to your website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I didn't mention this, but just out of interest, the Teen Court Association and the Association, I'm gonna mess this part up. Community restitution centers in the state of North Carolina, they're having their joint conference here in Asheville this year, and it's going on right now, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, so. And and some of your local programs are speaking there. Yep, Emoja speaking there. Pivot Point, Matt and Anna spoke this morning, and and the United Way is speaking.
Yeah, Go Places is also speaking there.
From UDET, we secure another contract for another year with Polk County DHHS to continue promoting awareness and vaping and misuse of substances. We have a marathon in June where we have reached over 100, we're 60 plus adults and 40 something youth in the Latino community through 4 community meetings on awareness about vaping and other substance abuse in collaboration with MAHEC and the psychology department of MAHEC and the nurse in tobacco cessation from MAHEC too. So it was very successful and we continue to repeat the same workshops, but in further sections like Leicester, Woodfin, and we will do it that work that we think is crucial in preventing later more bigger problems.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to make sure I was saying this right, but we have 2 interns. One is our senior intern, and I just wanted to make sure if we wrote into accountability for our senior intern who is just turned 20, we have one that's 21. If we wrote that into their contract for a year to come into every other month if it fits their school schedule, they would just not be able to have a voting right, if they're involved with both community service and teen court, like Martin did when he was on allocation. So we had already written in for them to come to DJJ's meeting staffing. So they're gonna be simultaneously coming with us. So we'll rework that, and it's Warren Wilson and UNCA. And we'll speak directly with their supervisors at the school and get back to you guys once we have the criterion for this. So that'd be a great commitment for a year. I'll check on that and get back to y'all.
Thank you. Any other comments, announcements, anything of that nature? It's 10:10. Again, I'll be respectful of everyone's time. Again, I appreciate everyone here that's joined in person and virtually. Great discussion, great analogy. I loved gardening. Sorry, Andy. It's just on the top of my mind right now. It's amazing. There's nothing else to kind of talk about, comments and announcements. Again, we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. We'll see everyone here in October, I believe, is the next go around. Hannah, are we gonna be in a different spot on October?
No.
Yes, we will be in a different location in October. We will either be upstairs on the 3rd floor of 200 College Street. It's a little bit of a smaller room, but this one is not available, unfortunately. As a backup, we could do the sheriff's office on the 4th floor of the courthouse training room. I think George is looking into that, but I think for now, stay tuned for updates, and if at the very least expect to be upstairs on the 3rd floor of 200 College.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.